Hey there! Probably you have heard the saying, if the magic smokes out, you can never put it back again. Therefore, I show you in this video how you can build such a smoke stopper. Why would you use a smoke stopper? There are several reasons why you should use a smoke stopper. For example, if you shorted anything in your quad and you're building a new quad, then you can use a smoke stopper, plug one end in the quad and one end in the battery to prevent that too much current flows into your quad and you damage components. Instead, the smoke stopper or the light bulb will light up and stop the current from flowing, or at least decrease the current which is going into your quad. And most of the time this prevents your quad from smoking components. Additionally, a smoke stopper can become in handy when you are working on your quad and you have plugged the battery in and you're doing anything on the bench, then you could short your circuit by accident, for example with a screwdriver or anything like that. In this case, when you short the circuit by accident, only the light bulb will light up and you have the optical feedback that anything went wrong. And also, even though I wouldn't recommend it, with the smoke stopper you can leave your props on when you're working on your quad on the bench. I would not recommend this to do it when you're flashing ESCs or when you have to check motors or anything like that. But I use it sometimes when I'm too lazy to put all the props off and I only want to check, for example, my crossfire receiver or the video link if everything is okay, but I know that I won't turn the motors or flash the ESCs or something like that. So I would recommend when you're flashing ESCs or spinning motors, then put the props off. It's every time safer than a smoke stopper can be. But enough of talking, let's go. For the smoke stopper you will need a 12 volt and 27 watts light bulb, then two XT60 connectors with the male and female. You need cables, shrinking tube, a hot glue gun, but this is only optional. And you need all your equipment for soldering. When you have everything ready, you can cut 2 wires of red wire and 1 black wire. After you've cut your wires, you have to get rid of the insulation. And then you have to prepare the light bulb. In my case, the legs of the light bulb were bent into the socket, so I pulled it out. After you've pulled the legs out, you have to put the wire on the top of the legs and then twist it together. And then repeat it for the other leg. Now when you've connected everything, you can solder the wires to the legs. And after you're done, give it a tug to see if the cables stay in place. When you don't use the hot glue, insulate the cables with some tape. And for the hot glue method, you push the shrinking tube over the socket of the light bulb and over the cables and then heat it on 3 sides, so shrink 3 sides of the shrinking tube. Now you can pull on the one side which is not shrinked already and then you put some hot glue in there. When you have enough hot glue in there, you will have to shrink the one side which is left now and the hot glue will flow over the top of the shrinking tube. Now it's time to prepare the XT60 connectors and the black wire. We solder everything up and then put the black wire on the negative side of the XT60 connectors. When you're using caps for the XT60 connectors, then you have to put it on now, since the wire is connected now to both sides of the XT60. And then you have to redo the steps for the red wires and the positive part of the XT60 connectors. When you're done, you only have to put the caps on. I have a little trick for that. I used the end of an hex driver, put it through the middle of the cables and then push it together with the XT60 connector. So before doing the next step, just make sure that you have connected everything correctly and you don't want to short your battery. So don't do this with the battery only with the smoke stopper and with the correct working smoke stopper. So I shorted both pins on the XT60 and plug a battery in. And when you have a short circuit in your quad, it would look like this. And when you don't have a short circuit, you see there's no light bulb. And basically, now you're done. And as always, if you didn't like the video, don't tell anybody how you spent the last minutes. But if I helped you, I'm happy if you leave a like and subscribe and stay tuned for upcoming videos. I'm posting at least one video a week to get more pilots into this great hobby. So stay tuned and see you next time. That too much current flows into your quad and damage components. That too much current flows in your quad and damage that too much current flows into your quad and you damage components.